Now you flipped the disc to trip like this. So take one sip of my lyrics assist and the gape in the grip of my musical fist as you shake with the shock of my earthquake kiss.
Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home.
For true.
Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home.
For real.
Anywhere I roam,
Anywhere I
that's where I make my home.
I King Django says so.
Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home.
Yes. Now things are not always as they seem. So whose is the crop and which is the cream, and who keep dancing as they dream. So one side A and one side B. I King Django never follow as I was born to lead. So hang out and honor till the morning with me. Got to do the right to be on the winning team with attention focused like a tight laser beam.
Anywhere I roam,
For real.
that's where I make my home. Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home.
For true.
Anywhere I roam,
Anywhere.
that's where I make my home.
My home, my home.
Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home.
Now my Father's blessing flows like an eternal spring. So I shall not want, for he gives everything from my gold Django ring to my T-Mobile wing. So I praise his name with my ukulele string, and I sing to the one true king, and pay no mind to what other people say. True I King Django never watch no face. For the race is not to the swift, if you catch my drift. And this music come forgive you I live. Don't need no bourbon night or no spliff when you climb aboard my musical skiff and catch a whiff of my keyboard riff, as I would like to mention. In a version city fashion.
Anywhere I roam,
Anywhere.
that's where I make my home.
For real.
Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home.
Oh, rocky.
Anywhere I roam,
Anywhere, my
that's
brother.
where I make my home.
That's where I make my home.
Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home.
For home is where the heart is, and heart is where the art is. Don't be no martyr, just make a new start and depart for greener pastures and move a little faster. Make the music be your master, for we are just passing through. So don't you feel blue and don't bother screw, cause anything you do will come back to you. Don't matter who, I know this is true.
Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home. Anywhere I roam,
Anywhere.
that's where I make my home. Anywhere I roam,
Anywhere.
that's where I make my home.
Where I rest my weary head.
Anywhere I roam, that's where I make my home.
Anywhere I roam.
Anywhere I roam,
That's where I
that's where I
make my home.
Anywhere I roam,
Home is where you hang your
where I make my
hat.
home.
Watch that, watch that.
anywhere I roam,
Catch it.
that's where I make my home. Anywhere I roam,
Anywhere, anywhere,
that's where I make my home.
anywhere.
Anywhere I roam,
Anywhere I roam.
that's where I make my home.
So mind where you lay up your riches.
That's where I make my home.
A home is where you get scratched every